Okay, here we are back with the '01 Honda Civic, or in Canada it's called an Acura EL, and it's bringing up engine code 1361 and 1362, which is camshaft position sensor or intermittent camshaft position sensor signal. So either it's losing the signal temporarily or the sensor has failed. So the car is basically going from normal operation to limp home mode. Nothing above 2000 RPM, which misfires and backfires. And then if you shut the car off and start it again, wait a few minutes and start it, it seems to be fine for a while, and then it does it again. And the code that's being brought up on the code reader is P1361 and 1362. So that's the camshaft position sensor, which is located right down there, right down there. So the fun part is to get at it, but I can do this fairly quickly, so I'm going to do the whole thing beginning to end. The other thing that they say this could cause this problem is that either the position sensor is going, which I'll probably replace or do a check on it. The other thing that can be happening is the camshaft end play is in excess of 0.5 millimeters. So we'll check the camshaft end play also. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is get this wiring harness off. Everybody knows how to do that. And I got to take the valve cover off, basically, to look at everything and change the sensor. Okay. Okay, the first thing to come off is the throttle cables. Two little cap bolts here, cap nuts. One, two. That moves out of your way. Put the cap nuts aside. Next thing to come off. Where to start? Next thing to come off will be this air conditioning pipe has to be moved. There's a bracket down here. Oh, we'll wire that out of the way with the tie wrap temporarily. Okay, the air conditioning bracket looks like this. And this guy here, I'm just going to take the whole, there's a second bolt down here. This piece comes off. It's right there. Next thing to come off is this cover. Like so. Set that aside. Now we can remove this spark plug wiring harness, which has 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, plus another one, couple up here. Wow. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Make a note, these two bolts are the same length. Everything's loose here, I just have to take this pipe out of the way. Okay, and it seemed like it might be easier to take this little air box out of the way, or the air intake, so I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts. Take that off. See what's holding it. Oh, I see what's holding it in place now. Okay, the cover comes off. And there's a plug right here you have to undo. This plug goes right here. Just push the tab and pull. One plug. That may be all I need to get. I just want to get this hose off, so that's probably maybe good enough. Let's see if I can get the hose off now. Okay, we're going to take this air filter out, set it aside. Looks like an expensive air filter, I'm sure it is. And then there's also a little, around this part, there's a round clamp that clamps to the intake right down there. You'll have to loosen that off, that little clamp. And then this piece might just pull off. I'm guessing it will. So there was 1, 2, 3 bolts. I love fighting with this. Okay, and now this piece just pulls off. This is the clamp I was telling you about right here. Goes around this intake here. Stick a rag on this intake so nothing can fall in there while this is out of the way. Okay, so now we got to get this intake wiring, or this wiring harness out of the way. So you just pull these spark plugs loose. There's a couple plugs over here. There's one plug on Honda sure makes a good plug that doesn't come undone, that's for certain. One plug there, another plug down here. That takes those guys out of the way. Okay, there's a bunch of plugs. Oh boy. There's a bunch of plugs in the back side here. There's one on the intake thing here. Right there. There's one on each injector. I have to remember how to get those off. The injector ones you just squeeze on each side and they just pop off like so. Okay, so now these cables, unless you tie them back, are going to be continually getting in your way, which is exactly what we're doing right now. So you might want to get a tie wrap and tie them out of the way. Keep your rag on your intake. Okay, so we've got all these cables loose over here. Oh, I forgot one injector right down here. Okay, we're looking pretty good. Now it's something over here. And it's something over here. Just a minute. Okay, so if we just take off the, pull all the spark plug things out. Get this loose like this. Unclip the alternator wire from this clip right here. And then undo the alternator connections. Make sure you've disconnected the battery negative terminal before you do any of this, of course. Oh, it's clipped to the alternator somehow, so you have to figure that one out. Okay, so nobody has to go through the same struggle I just went through. The clip that comes off the alternator has a little tab right here. It has a little tab right here that you push down. This tab right here. Push it down, and then this slides away. This is sitting like this. Push that tab down and slide this away from the alternator, and it just comes right off. Otherwise, you'd be fighting for a frickin' ever. It won't come off. So yeah, so you got this plug to undo, and this 10mm bolt to take out. And now this whole harness can be moved off to the side over here, like so. This can stay where it is. Just push it back out of the way. Don't undo any more plugs. Didn't have to even undo the injector plugs. Make sure you do them all back up. Okay, now we're ready to take off the valve cover. Okay, to take the valve cover off, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like there's only 5 bolts. And then you have to pry on it. Let's just have a look, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, there is one more bolt down here that holds this air conditioning bracket on, so don't miss that one. So that was a total of 6 then. If that goes right through to the head, maybe it just sits there. Maybe it just screws into the valve cover, I don't know. Find out right now. No, it looks like it goes through to the head. Okay. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I have forgot what I was going to say. Let's try and pry it off. Oh, there's this little steel bracket down here, holds the injector rail or something like that. It's got 2 bolts on it. It's going to have to come off first. 1, 2, try not to drop anything in the engine compartment or it'll just be a nightmare for you. I just noticed there's a little spacer on here. Oh, that goes into, that came out of here. Don't lose that. Okay, that's those 2 bolts. Now this bracket comes out. Okay, we should be able to just try and gently pry on the head, see if it comes loose against something that's solid here. There it goes. Okay, the head's loose. I mean the valve cover is loose. So we should just be able to pull it up. I see there's going to be some stuff in the way. You're going to have to play with it a little bit. Here we go. And off it comes. Set it to the side. Okay, so as far as I got, and then my battery went dead, was taking off the valve cover. And my gasket came with it. Everything looks good. Make sure the gasket surface stays clean for when you put it back on. I didn't use any RTV sealant or anything on this, and it doesn't have any leaks. So if you have a nice new valve cover gasket that's in shape, you won't need any RTV stuff. What I did while I was recharging the batteries, I took off the rest of it, which was the little cover. The upper timing belt cover looks like this, and it's got one bolt over here, one bolt over here, and then a kind of one hidden down in here that you might not really see, so just be careful. There's actually 3 of them. This one's a bit hidden. And the way I do my stuff is when I take stuff off, I take this knife and I put an X in the box, and I push the bolt through the hole, and then I label it with pencil which one came where. For example, there's the 3 bolts here, 1, 2, 3, that took out that one on this timing cover, upper timing cover. This one is got a longer spacer piece on it, and it's the one that goes in the little hidden hole down here. Okay, anyways, yeah, when you take this cam position sensor plug off, this still stays on the car. Pull the boot off, reach in, and you can just unclip it and pull it out while it's in position. And it's down there. I can't see it right now, but yeah, so with this all still attached to the car, pull the rubber boot off. You can barely get your hand in there, get the clip and pull it, undo the connector. The sensor stays behind. Now you pull this off, the sensor stays behind. Then stuff a rag down in underneath the sensor, because when you take it out, you don't want the bolt that holds it or the sensor to fall down into the lower timing belt cover, or you got to start taking the whole car apart to get those pieces out. That camshaft position sensor is off. Okay, this is the camshaft position sensor. It looks like this. And there's 3 things that could be causing this 136162 problem. You might have excessive end play on your camshaft. You may have a bad sensor, or you may have bad wiring. So my wiring and plug all looked really good. The sensor actually looks okay, but I don't know how to test it. And I'm going to test the run out or the end play on the camshaft. In order to do that, I'll just show you how I did that. Okay, so what I did is I put a dial indicator, and it the tip of it pushes against. I've got it pushing against where the belt and the sprocket meet, and the book says to put it against the very end of the camshaft, which is impossible to get the dial indicator in there. This is my anti-lock braking box is in the way, and I'm not taking any of that apart. As long as your dial indicator is stationary and locked in position so it can't move, you can put it anywhere really on this camshaft sprocket. Then I took 2 screwdrivers, one against one of the cam lobes. Be careful, don't mark the camshaft surface, whatever you do. Put it to the edge of the cam lobe, the camshaft surface, lobe surface, edge of it. And the other screwdriver on the other side of the same lobe, or pick whatever ones will work for you in here. Be careful not to scratch the lobe surface. Anyhow, if you do that, here's the dial. I'll put it so you can see the dial indicator. Kind of with this thing in the way. Well, you'll be able to see it anyway. Well, maybe not. How about over here? There. Now if I take my screwdrivers and pry the camshaft one way and then the other way, if you see the dial indicator, as hard as I can do it, the most I can seem to get is 1, 2, 3. If I push really hard, maybe 4. 1, 2, 3, possibly 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, around 4 thou. I can't get any more than 4 thou, and that's putting quite a bit of force on the screwdrivers. And I don't want to have one of the screwdrivers slip off and scratch the cam surface. So that's 4 thou of what the. Okay, the book here calls for. If I can make it focus on that, I'll just read it to you. Standard camshaft end play is 2 to 6 thou, or 0.05 to 0.15 millimeters. Maximum is 20 thou, believe it or not, or half a millimeter. And I'm within the 2 to 6 thou range. I can't seem to get any more than 4 thou play out of it. So the camshaft end play doesn't seem to be an issue. So the wiring harness looks good. The camshaft end play is well within spec. I have to then assume it's got to be the cam position sensor is failing, because the car's got 320,000 kilometers on it. So I ordered a new cam position sensor. Yes, cam position sensor for $80, and yeah, I'll install that.